Good morning, everybody. It's early in the morning. I have my coffee and I'm cooking some lunch for Randy. So I've got a pot on to boil. So if I have to get up and walk over there, that's what I'm doing. But this morning, I wanted to talk about why I'm even making these videos. They just seemingly come out of the blue. And there's a couple of different reasons. I was one of those kids that had the privilege of having many grandparents as I was growing up. So I had both of my mother's parents. I had both of my dad's parents. They lived, well, one set lived next door and the other one lived 4 miles up the road. But in addition to that, I had a great grandparent who was my grandmother on my dad's side's dad. So Grandpa Goss was his name. And he was old when I was born. And he had this ring of white hair and he was bald on the top. And he had a childhood accident somewhere along the road. And so he didn't have one eye. I mean, his eye shut, but there was nothing behind there. And he was my childhood playmate, and I loved him dearly. But I was so young that I didn't really think to ask him any questions or listen to his stories. So all that's lost. And it's pretty much lost with Grandma Fouts and all the other grandparents. So this may not last with me making these videos. You know me, I'll start projects and do them for a while and then end them. But that's the reason why I started this particular project, is because I wanted to start a vlog. I have so many nieces and nephews out there that I don't get to see, and or not often enough, and I love you all very much, but I realized at some point along the way that Aunt Rhonda's got a lot to say from time to time, and if it's going to be kept around, a vlog is the best way to do that. That way you can access it anytime you want to. So really, one of the main reasons I'm doing these vlogs is for all my nieces and nephews. So there's that. And the other one is because of Grandpa Goss. So there's that. So I thought as we go along, I will obviously talk about all the other things I'm doing, my Dandy Finds brand and what shape that's taken, the reselling and the quilting and all that. But the other thing is I just wanted to be able to share with you some stories and things of that nature. So they'll be around maybe long after I'm gone. And that's kind of fun to think about. So the first story I'm going to tell you is about fall and cabbage. So we have to back up several years to the first time I went to the Woodbridge Inn in Jasper. Obviously it was owned by Joe Rufert, and they had the Wiener Schnitzel dish, which I had never tried before. And so I wanted to try that. And when it came to my plate, it was the most wonderful thing I think I've ever had. It was the Wiener Schnitzel itself, which is a pounded piece of meat, kind of what I call chicken fried, battered and fried. It was huge. It was like way big. And there was also a spätzle, which is a potato dish. And then there was this beautiful red cabbage that I had never tried before and was the best thing I had ever had up until then. And I loved that cabbage so much. And so when Hans, Joe's son, came out with his cookbook, there was a recipe for that in there. And because Hans was the chef, I just assumed that it was a recipe that he used. So I was so excited. I could not wait to try that recipe and have that at home all the time. So I got the book out, I got all the ingredients, and I made my first batch. Well, I don't know what I did wrong. I thought I followed the recipe exactly, but it was the saltiest thing I had ever eaten. There was no sweet, there was no tangy, it was just salt. So I did what all people who live in the country do, is I took the pan out to the woods and I just dumped it because it was inedible. So I was a little discouraged, but I thought, well, let's tweak the recipe just a little bit and see if I can make it better. So I did. I tweaked it a little bit, and I made a second batch. And when I got the second batch done, it didn't taste anything like what I had had in the restaurant, and I was so disappointed. And so, again, I took that pan out to the woods and I dumped it out because it was inedible. So I thought, I'm just going to keep going. So I tweaked the recipe one more time, and this time it was delicious. But it's kind of an involved recipe. It took me a long time to do it, and so I didn't do it for a long time after that. So fast forward a few years, and I just got to craving that cabbage, And so I went online and I found a quick and easy recipe, and I bookmarked it. And so obviously this is the beginning of fall. It's October, it's crisp, and along with that comes the craving for sweet and sour / Bavarian cabbage. And so last night I got my phone out and looked up that little quick recipe, and I made a batch, and this is what it looks like. I'll get out of the way so you can see it. Now this is cold from the refrigerator, so you may be seeing chunks of butter in there, but it's such a simple recipe. You just chop up your cabbage, you put some apple cider vinegar and some balsamic vinegar and some sugar and an apple, a tart apple if you got one. I didn't have one. And then you just cook it down till it's right, and then you taste it, and if it needs a little sugar, you add the sugar. If it needs something else, you add that. Salt and pepper, obviously. But it is the perfect dish to start my fall, and so I thought you might be interested in hearing about Grandpa got some cabbage. I hope you're going to have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you again soon.